Hi, in today's session we are going to create a vocoder, and let's jump into it without further ado, because my mouse is driving me crazy now. Anyways, let's see what happened with my mouse. So we are going to create a vocoder, and what's inside the vocoder? Bands. So we create a band. A band has something that's a filter for sure. So we create the filter. It needs an input, pitch input, resonance input, and we will use the bandpass filter. We will divide the band output by the resonance, and we are going to use the pitch frequency based, so we are going to convert hertz to pitch, and we will rename this frequency. And yeah, this is the filter. We need two filters inside the band, one for the bass and one for the carrier. So we create the input for the bass and the input for the carrier, and the carrier will need an envelope follower, so we take the absolute value and create the envelope follower, and we are going to multiply these two together and create the output of the band. And yeah, this is the basic signal flow. What I will do now will look a bit confusing, but will make sense when we patch the bands together. So first I create one output for the band, for the bass, and one output for the carrier. And the order is important here. So I call this bypass bass, and I call this bypass carrier. And I move these guys to the left. I create an input for the frequency and connect it to both filters, and I create a bypass output for the frequency. I create an input for the resonance, connect it to both, and I create a bypass resonance output. And on the bass, I'm going to create an add node between the frequency, and I will create an input here and call it SH like shift, and we'll create an input for that like SH. And one more thing we need is to output this like bypass SH, and I will create an input for the envelope follower for the release, and I call it RE, and I will create it bypass RE. And yes, this is our band. Now if we go outside, we can see that we have our band here. We create the inputs, not like that. So let's create the inputs. And choose every second one, move them to the left. And first we are going to create a 4-band vocoder, and if it works we are going to extend it. So here we are going to have our output, and input 1 is going to go into input 1 will receive the first band. And we did these many bypass outputs only to be able to do this. I created 3 copies, and I just connect things like this straight. It would also work if I connected them right there, but then the whole thing would look like a spider web, and one wouldn't know what is what and what goes where. And we are not on hardware. We have these abstract looking graphics only to know what we do. So I move things a bit to the side because we need to take care about the frequencies. Now all the bands would run on the same frequency, which is not what we want. We want to have them on different frequencies. And I'm going to create a multiplication here to determine a ratio and connect it to the other guys as well. Like this. Move them to the bottom. Wow. I didn't hope for a patch that is this green. I was thinking that I'm going to create my first spider web, but I had this idea with these bypasses, and yeah, now I'm proud. So this is our 4-band vocoder. Input 1, input 2, gain in the end, set the volume to somewhere low, so we won't hear noises if we create noises, or if something I did make no sense. If you have a separate signal with a synth patch or something like that, you can use that as a base or carrier for the time being. I don't have it, and I'm going to use my sample as the carrier. I create an oscillator multi with a nice saw wave and some frequency, and yeah, this should be the inputs. And now create some controls. The base frequency should be somewhere between, let's say, 60 and 1000 Hertz. Resonance between 0.01 and 1. Shift, that's the amount we are going to add to the one of the filters, between 0 and 16,000 maybe. Release, that's the release time of the envelope follower. So it's between, let's say, 50 and 2000. And the frequency ratio between the bands is going to be between 1 and 16 maybe. And I make it exponential. And also the release time should be exponential. Sorry for my voice. And I think that we are done with the 4-band vocoder. Let's hear it in action. I press the play button. To me this sounds like a vocoder, so let's extend it to 8 bands, like I promised. I'm going to insert a multiplier here, and for the first one I'm going to input 1. And let me copy this whole structure without the ratio input, copy paste it, and simply continue as we did before. We still have no spider webs, that's amazing. And I move the ratio a bit forward, create a cone here. Because of the first ratio is going to stay 1, but this one is going to be different. So this comes into the frequency, and we will pack the frequency right there. So if I move these two guys, or even better, if I create a cone here again, it will look pretty easy to follow. And all we have to do is to add these two together. and connect these to the B inputs. And this should be it. We have the 8-band vocoder, and it's not a spider web at all. So I come back and play again. Yeah. So, I can build my own vocoder using Alpha Forever. You can build yours too. And I hope you had fun, and if you like this channel, please subscribe. If you don't like it, please subscribe. Yeah, what else could I say? Noding is fun, and having your own vocoder is fun, and you have lots of capabilities you can do with this, and lots of things like creating envelopes, LFOs. You can extend it to wherever you like. I'm going to share this patch with you, and I hope you had fun, and see you next time. Happy noding, bye bye.